Amazing. So simple, yet so complex. So versatile. Oh, hi. The egg. We all know where eggs come from, right? The grocery store. Well, it's really not quite that simple. It's really quite a process. Once eggs are laid, they're cleaned mechanically. Eggs are sprayed with a protective mineral oil to replace the natural oils that were washed off during cleaning. Then the eggs are sorted by size. Eggs are candled by holding them up to a bright light. This step allows the egg grater to look inside the egg without breaking it open. Pretty cool. Eggs are then packaged and sent to the grocery store. That's where we buy them. So that's how they get to the store. But what about color? There's brown and white. I've even seen blue ones. And the sizes and grading and quality. What's the difference? Well, the color and size and grade really don't make a difference as far as flavor goes. Color makes no difference in quality, flavor, or nutrition. Shell color is determined by the feather color and the chicken's earlobes. Yeah, that's right, chicken's earlobes. Brown eggs are typically more expensive because the hens are larger and require more food. And what about grades? Well, there's really no difference in nutrition between different grades. Grade AA, the yolk is firm and the area covered by the white is small. There's a large proportion of thick white to thin white. With grade A, the egg covers a relatively small area, the yolk is round and upstanding, the thick white is large proportion to thin white and stands fairly well around the yolk. Grade B, on the other hand, well, they spread out more. The yolk is flattened and there's about as much, if not more, thin white as thick white. Almost no grade B eggs make their way into your supermarket. Some go to institutional egg users such as bakeries or food service operations, but most go to egg breakers for use in egg products. And remember, always store your eggs in the refrigerator in their original carton. That will keep them from absorbing odors, and don't keep them in the door. Keep them back further so they maintain a constant temperature. That way your eggs will last longer. Good fresh eggs purchased from your grocery store should hold 4 to 5 weeks in your refrigerator. So that's about the storing and processing of eggs. What about nutritional value? Are eggs good for you? Yeah, they are. Eggs are almost the perfect food. Well, when it comes to protein, you really can't beat eggs. Ounce for ounce, they pack more of a punch protein-wise than any other food. And egg whites contain no fat whatsoever. So that's great. Eggs are high in protein, the whites don't have any fat, and they're good for your eyes. But what about vitamins and minerals? Eggs have got to have vitamins and minerals, right? Well, let's start with vitamin A. It supports growth and maintains healthy skin, eyes, and immune function. Vitamin B12 works to support normal digestion and nerve cell function. Riboflavin helps produce energy in all cells of the body. And iron, well, iron plays a really important role in red blood cell development. And calcium. Calcium helps build strong bones and teeth. We all know that. Phosphorus. Essentially, it's for healthy bones, teeth, and cell membranes. Vitamin D, which is also found in milk, works with calcium to strengthen bones and teeth. You know, there's a ton of other things. Antioxidants, macronutrients. Eggs are great. Not only are eggs nutritious, but they're functional. They're versatile. You can do almost anything with eggs. So, well, rather than talking about it, why don't I show you? Let's head over to the kitchen. Okay, so we've talked about the statistical information about eggs and the science of eggs, how they're graded, how they're sized, the production. Now we're going to have some fun and actually do some cooking. First thing we're going to learn about is how to crack an egg properly. Always crack an egg on a flat surface. That ensures a clean break. A lot of people will crack an egg against the side of a bowl. That tends to leave shards of the eggshell and they shatter more easily. You'll end up with eggshells in your eggs. So you always want to crack against a flat surface. We're going to scramble a couple eggs here. And we'll crack 3 eggs into a bowl. And then we're just going to take a fork and lightly kind of beat them up. Okay, once we've got them just kind of beaten up, you don't want to overbeat them. That'll cause your eggs to be flat. Okay, so I've got a hot pan here. I'm going to add a little clarified butter. Get a nice sizzle going. You want a good hot pan and you want to work quickly. I'm going to pour my eggs in. And then with a heat-proof spatula, as indicated by the red handle, I'm going to just quickly scramble these up. They're going to cook pretty fast. And during the cooking process here, I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of kosher salt. And you can always add just a touch of fresh ground pepper. And as you see, the eggs are getting nice and light and fluffy. And there we have our scrambled eggs. So we've got our nice light fluffy scrambled eggs here. And I'll show you a little dish we can do. I'm going to set this down. Always put a hot pad down before you set down a hot pan. And I've got some tortillas that I warmed up in the microwave for about 10 seconds. And I'm just going to put my scrambled eggs down and hit that with a little cheese, a little pre-cooked sausage, and just a little bit of salsa. And then we're going to fold it and wrap it up. Grab a plate here. And we've got ourselves a nice breakfast burrito. Tortilla, hit with a little salsa, a little more cheese, and a little parsley. And you've got a nice looking breakfast. Okay, so we've done our scrambled eggs and did our tortilla. Now I'm going to show you a couple other breakfast eggs, normal everyday applications. It's got a nice hot griddle here, 275 to 300 degrees, and hit it with a little bit of clarified butter. And again, cracking our eggs on a flat surface. We're going to do an up egg and an over easy egg. And lastly, we're going to do a basted egg. Basically similar cooking techniques, but the only real difference is the degree of doneness and the method on how you finish them. So as you can see, when we were talking about egg grating, the degree or the proportion of the thin white to the thick white in relationship to the yolk. You get a nice domed yolk. The proportion of the thick white to the thin white is about right for a grade A egg. This one, you've got a nice proportion of thick white around the edges and a nice domed yolk. This one, you've got a little bit more of the thin white, but you've also got a good rounded yolk and a good thick white. Okay, so our up egg is cooking along nicely here. The main difference with this one is we're not going to flip this one. Our over easy egg now is about halfway done. So we're going to flip that over and we're going to allow that to cook again from the bottom heat source until the white is completely cooked. Okay, our basted egg, we're going to accomplish the basting by adding a little bit of water, creating some steam. That steam is going to help cook the egg from all the way around, from the top as well as our bottom heat source. Okay, so our up egg is cooking along nicely. Still got a little bit of raw egg white on top there. We're going to let that sit for a minute. Our over easy egg is just about perfect. Completely cooked white and a nice firm but still not completely cooked yolk. So we'll slide that over on the plate. Our basted egg is coming along nicely. Steam is cooking the egg from the top as well, so we're getting a little bit of cloudiness on the yolk. And there it looks like our up egg is about done. Bubbly yolk, completely cooked white, and our basted egg. You see the cloudiness around here where the steam has cooked the egg from the top as well without flipping it. And there we have an over easy, an up, and a basted egg. Okay, now we're going to do a quick omelet. Several ways to do omelets. You can do them in a skillet, which is more of a French method, where you almost scramble the eggs and flip them. We're going to do a simple method here on griddle. Add a little bit of clarified butter. Again, keeping your griddle 275 to 300 degrees. And we're going to crack a couple eggs into our bowl. And beat those up just a little bit. Again, you don't want to overbeat them. And we're going to pour that on there. And we don't want to move them around too much because we're not scrambling them. We just want this to cook uniformly. Okay, so you can see our omelet is cooked a little better than halfway now. Still got some raw egg on top. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take the whole thing and flip it over. That's going to cook it from the underside, and it's going to let that underside cook well and puff up a little bit. You'll get a nice fluffy omelet. And we're going to add a little ham, a little cheese, and then we're just going to roll it up. And we'll slide it over on a plate. Maybe top it with a little bit of ham and a little more cheese. And garnish it with a little parsley. And there you've got a nice ham and cheese omelet. Next thing I'm going to do is show you how to poach eggs, which is cooking in a water bath. We've got our water here. It's just below boiling. And we're going to take a spoon and swirl it around. This is going to keep our eggs nice and uniformly shaped and keep them from sticking to the bottom of the pan. And we're just going to crack them right into the water. And as you can see, they're still swirling around, and they start to cook as soon as they hit that hot water. Now we're going to step over here, and I'm going to show you how to separate eggs, and we're going to make a little quick hollandaise sauce. We're going to separate 3 eggs. So I'm separating these using my hands. You can also rock them back and forth between the eggshell halves. I prefer this way because I can wash my hands and keep them clean. And always wash your hands, like we said before and after handling raw eggs. Wipe my hands off here. And now I'm going to place this over, make a double boiler using my mixing bowl over some hot water. I'm going to add the juice from 1 lemon, a little bit of cayenne, a dash of Worcestershire sauce, and I'm just going to start mixing that up. Now what I'm doing is I'm cooking the eggs, but I'm not going to cook it thoroughly. I don't want to scramble them. If your eggs start to cook too quickly and they start to solidify around the outside edges, you can always remove it from the water briefly, let it cool down. And I'm just going to continue cooking these and beating them until they turn a nice light lemony yellow. Okay, you can see our eggs are starting to foam up a little here, starting to lighten up in color. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the egg yolks as a thickening agent, and I'm going to emulsify some clarified butter. A large egg yolk will hold about 3 ounces of fat, or clarified butter in this case. And ultimately this will turn into a classic hollandaise sauce. And adding very slowly so that you're incorporating the fat constantly. If it starts to pool up on you on the sides, just slow down a little bit. And again, if your sauce starts to get too thick, you can thin it with a little more lemon juice or a little bit of hot water. And if it looks like it's going to start breaking on you or separating, you can pull it away from the heat a little bit just to cool it down. Okay, and as our sauce finishes up, you can see it's a nice light lemony yellow. Set that down here. And we're going to take one of our poached eggs from earlier. I've got a toasted English muffin here with a little grilled Canadian bacon. And we're going to top that off with a little of our hollandaise sauce. And there you have a classic Eggs Benedict. Okay, now we're going to move into egg bakes, more commonly known as quiche, frittata, and strata. We're going to start with one basic batter, which is 1 dozen eggs. Again, cracking them on a flat surface into our mixing bowl. You can use the same batter for all 3 of these dishes. It's really a classic quiche batter, and I will show you in a minute the difference between the 3 egg dishes. So we've got 1 dozen eggs. We've got 1 cup of heavy cream, also known as whipping cream. 1 cup of sour cream. And then to that, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. I prefer kosher or sea salt. Put that in there. And just a pinch of nutmeg. I'm little bit of crushed red pepper, and just a dash of cayenne. Throw a little fresh ground black pepper in as well. Okay, we're going to take this, lock our bowl onto our mixer. Lock that down, and we're going to start that out slowly. Okay, and we'll let that mix for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, we're going to get our dishes prepared here. Got a 9x9 baking pan. You spray that. Into that, I'm going to crush up some dried bread. Basically just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. You can also use croutons. Could use a prepackaged stuffing mix if you wanted. I've got 4 slices of just stale dried out bread here. Tear those up into the bottom of the pan till it's just covered. And then on top of that, let's see, we're going to add some sausage, pre-cooked. All of the ingredients you add to any of your egg dishes needs to be pre-cooked, particularly meats. So we'll add a little sausage and maybe some sauteed mushrooms. And we're going to top that off with a little bit of cheddar cheese, probably about a cup for a pan this size. Okay, that's going to be our strata. And using the same batter, we're going to put some broccoli. We've got a pre-made pie shell here. And we're going to put a good amount of broccoli in there and some red and yellow peppers. And we'll add a few mushrooms to that as well. That's going to become our quiche. Let's use cheddar cheese in that. Actually, we'll use a mixture of cheddar, and I've got a Italian blend here, which is provolone, mozzarella, and Romano. And again, about a cup for a pan that size. I've got 3 ramekins here. I'm going to spray those good. And we're going to use these to make our strata, or I'm sorry, our frittata. Our frittata is going to have potatoes. Main difference between a frittata and a strata is your bottom layer in a frittata is potatoes. These are leftover cooked from dinner last night. One great thing about egg bakes is you can use leftover in all of these. So we've got a little potato, a little ham, and we'll throw a few peppers in there as well. And in this one, I'm just going to use my Italian cheese blend. And here we're just going to use a pinch on top, probably not even a quarter cup in each one. You're just basically covering the top. So there we have our 3 sets of ingredients. Come back over here, and our batter is mixed here. Should be nice and smooth and creamy yellow. And we're going to take that off. Now we're just going to pour our batter over just to cover the ingredients. And these will puff up, so you don't want to overfill them. Okay, so all that's left to do is throw this in a preheated 350-degree oven. I'm going to throw my strata in there. And we'll also put our quiche in. And for my frittata, I'm going to use my countertop convection oven. Make things cook a little faster, a little more efficient. And we'll come back when those are done. So we've got our egg dishes. We've got our quiche, our strata, and our frittata. I'm just going to plate this up. Center of the plate. And we're going to garnish it with a little fresh ground black pepper and a sprig of Italian parsley. And you've got a lovely breakfast or brunch treat. So that's about it. We've talked eggs and more eggs. Eggs are amazing. You could say they're extraordinary.